Maya stared at her laptop screen, scrolling through yet another disappointing roommate application. The third person this week had backed out after seeing the tiny apartment, and her savings account was crying for help. Rent was due in 10 days, and she was running out of options fast. The downtown apartment wasn't much to look at. One bedroom, a cramped living room, and a kitchen so small you could barely fit 2 people in it. But it was all she could afford on her entry-level job at the local museum. Fresh out of college with a degree in anthropology, Maya had big dreams, but a very small budget. She was about to close her laptop when a new message popped up. The response was perfectly typed, no spelling mistakes, and surprisingly formal. The person introduced themselves as Alex and claimed to be an international exchange student. They said they preferred quiet living, would pay 6 months' rent up front, could move in immediately. Maya read the message 3 times. It seemed too good to be true. People who paid that much money up front usually wanted something fancy. Not her shoebox apartment. Her bank account wasn't in a position to be picky. She typed back quickly, asking when they could meet. The response came within minutes. Alex would arrive at 9 that evening with references and cash. Maya spent the rest of the day cleaning frantically, trying to make the place look decent. At exactly 9 o'clock, there was a knock on her door. Maya opened it to find someone wearing dark sunglasses, despite it being nighttime. Alex was tall, with an oddly perfect posture and clothes that looked expensive, but somehow strange. They carried a single metallic suitcase that looked more like something from a science fiction movie than regular luggage. "You must be Maya," Alex said, in a voice that was pleasant but had an unusual rhythm to it. "I am Alex. Thank you for meeting with me so late." Maya invited them in, noticing how Alex seemed to study everything with intense focus. They walked around the apartment like they were memorizing every detail, occasionally nodding as if taking mental notes. "The space is adequate for my needs," Alex announced after a few minutes. "I have the deposit and first 6 months' rent here." They opened the metallic suitcase, revealing neat stacks of cash that made Maya's eyes widen. "Wow, okay," Maya stammered. "Don't you want to ask about utilities or house rules or anything?" "I am a very quiet person. I study mostly at night and sleep during the day sometimes. I will not disturb your routine." Alex's answers were direct and formal, like they were reading from a script. Maya found it a bit odd, but the money was real, and Alex seemed clean and respectful. They agreed Alex would take the living room, setting up a sleeping area behind a folding screen. Within an hour, Alex had moved in completely. The first week was blissfully quiet. Alex kept their promise about being low maintenance. Maya barely saw them, just heard occasional movement at night, and found perfectly clean dishes in the morning. It was like having a ghost for a roommate, except ghosts didn't leave money on the counter for groceries. Maya started to relax. Maybe she'd finally found the perfect roommate situation. Alex was quiet, clean, and paid well. What more could she ask for? That comfort lasted exactly 8 days. Maya came home from work one evening to find her coffee mug floating 3 feet. Above the kitchen table, she stood in the doorway, blinking rapidly, convinced she was seeing things. The mug rotated slowly in midair, steam rising from the coffee inside. "Alex?" she called out, her voice cracking slightly. One moment came. The reply from behind the folding screen. The mug gently lowered to the table just as Alex appeared, looking completely normal except for the fact they were holding what appeared to be detailed drawings of human skeletons. Maya stared at the papers and at the coffee mug, then back at Alex. Did that mug just ... float? Alex followed her gaze to the table. "Ah, you witnessed that." Didn't sound surprised or embarrassed, just mildly inconvenienced. "How did you make it float?" Maya's voice was getting higher with each word. Alex set down the papers and removed their sunglasses for the first time since moving in. Their eyes were a striking silver color that seemed to shift and shimmer in the light. "I believe you humans call it telekinesis." Maya's legs suddenly felt weak. She grabbed the back of a chair for support. "Humans? What do you mean, humans?" "I am not from this planet," Alex said matter-of-factly, as if they were discussing the weather. "I am from a galaxy you call Andromeda." My real name is difficult for your vocal cords to pronounce, but Alex works fine for daily interaction. Maya sank into the chair, her mind racing. You're an alien? Yes, I am here conducting research for my academic studies. Your species is quite fascinating from an anthropological perspective. My species, Maya repeated weakly. You're studying us like ... like lab rats. Alex looked genuinely confused. I do not understand the comparison to rodents. My research focuses on cultural patterns and social structures. I am particularly interested in your civilization's approach to community living and relationship formation. Maya looked around her tiny apartment, seeing it through new eyes. So this whole roommate thing is just ... research. Initially, yes. However, I have found the arrangement mutually beneficial. You needed financial assistance, and I needed a base of operations for my fieldwork. It is what you might call a win-win situation. Despite the complete insanity of the conversation, Maya found Alex's straightforward explanation oddly calming. They weren't trying to hide anything or make excuses, just stating facts. Are there more of you here? She asked. Not in this immediate area. I am working independently on my thesis project. My people, the Keplerians, rarely visit Earth. Most find your planet too chaotic for extended study. Maya laughed, surprising herself. Yeah, we can be pretty chaotic. Alex tilted their head, studying her reaction. You're not experiencing the fear response I expected. Most humans in your situation would be quite distressed. Oh, I'm definitely distressed, Maya assured them. But I'm also really behind on rent, and you're the best roommate I've ever had. Plus, I studied anthropology. The idea of being on the other side of cultural research is actually kind of cool. Alex's silver eyes brightened with interest. You study the cultural patterns of your own species? Well, I try to. Mostly I give museum tours to school kids and catalog artifacts. Not exactly thrilling fieldwork. Perhaps we could assist each other, Alex suggested. Yeah. Your expertise in human cultural analysis could be valuable to my research. In return, I could share some of my observations and ... capabilities that might enhance your own understanding. Maya considered this. Having an alien roommate was definitely not on her career plan, but it wasn't the strangest opportunity that had ever come her way. If Alex was serious about helping with her own studies, it could actually advance her career. Okay, she said. Finally. But we need to establish some ground rules. Alex nodded eagerly. I am familiar with human social contracts. First, no more floating objects without warning me. I nearly had a heart attack. Understood. I will be more careful with telekinetic displays. Second, if anyone asks, you're an international exchange student, which is technically true, just a really international exchange. Agreed. My cover story is already established. And third, Maya paused, realizing she was about to make a deal with an alien. Just don't do anything that'll get us both in trouble with the government, okay? Alex's expression grew serious. Maya, I want you to understand that discovery would be problematic for both of us. Your authorities would likely detain me for study. You would face significant questioning about harboring an undocumented ... visitor. I have no intention of creating complications for either of us. The weight of the situation settled over Maya. She was now officially part of something much bigger than finding a roommate. But looking at Alex, with their earnest silver eyes and formal way of speaking, she realized she wasn't scared anymore, just incredibly curious about what came next. Well then, she said, extending her hand. Nice to officially meet you, Alex. From Andromeda. Alex stared at her outstretched hand for a moment, then carefully shook it. Thank you, Maya from Earth. I believe this arrangement will be most educational for both of us. As they shook hands, Maya couldn't help but smile. Her life had just become infinitely more complicated, but also infinitely more interesting. She had a feeling her quiet little apartment was about to become anything but boring. 3 weeks had passed since Maya discovered her roommate's otherworldly secret, and life had settled into a surprisingly comfortable routine. Alex kept their promise about being helpful with Maya's studies, sharing fascinating insights about human behavior from an outsider's perspective. In return, Maya helped Alex understand the subtle social cues and cultural references that Textbooks couldn't teach. Maya had grown used to seeing Alex's advanced technology around the apartment. The holographic displays that materialized from thin air, the translator device that could decode any language on Earth, and yes, the occasional floating coffee mug. It was like living in a science fiction movie, except her alien roommate preferred herbal tea over destroying cities. That Tuesday morning started like any other. Maya was getting ready for work when Alex emerged from behind their screen looking unusually troubled. Their silver eyes seemed dimmer than usual, and they were clutching what appeared to be an official document covered in symbols that hurt Maya's head to look at directly. "Maya," Alex said, their formal tone even more pronounced than usual. "I require your assistance with a significant academic problem." Maya paused while putting on her jacket. "What kind of problem?" Alex sat down heavily on the couch, which was unusual since they typically maintained perfect posture. "My thesis advisor has rejected my current research proposal. Professor Keth believes my work lacks what they termed experiential depth and cultural immersion." "That doesn't sound too bad," Maya said, sitting across from them. "Professors reject proposals all the time. You just revise and resubmit, right?" Alex shook their heads slowly. "The situation is more complex than typical academic revision. My people, the Keplerians, reproduce through a process of mental energy exchange. We do not experience what humans call romantic love or physical attraction in the way your species does." Maya felt a strange flutter in her stomach, but tried to keep her expression neutral. "Okay, so what does that have to do with your research?" "Professor Keth has determined that my understanding of human civilization is fundamentally incomplete because I cannot comprehend what they consider the driving force behind most of your social structures and cultural development, which is—" Alex looked directly at her, their silver eyes reflecting an emotion Maya couldn't quite identify. "Human pair bonding, what you call dating, romance, and intimate relationships. Professor Keth insists that without understanding this aspect of human behavior, my research cannot be considered comprehensive or valid." Maya blinked. "So your professor wants you to study human dating?" "It's not merely study," Alex clarified, pulling out a tablet device that projected a three-dimensional document into the air between them. "They want me to experience it, to participate in what they call immersive cultural research." The floating document was written in English, which surprised Maya until she realized Alex had probably translated it for her benefit. The title made her stomach do another flip. "Comprehensive Analysis of Human Pair Bonding Rituals, a Participant Observer Study." "Alex," Maya said slowly, "this sounds like your professor wants you to actually date someone." "The research parameters are quite specific," Alex continued, manipulating the document to highlight different sections. "I am required to engage in the full spectrum of human romantic interaction, from initial courtship displays through what the literature refers to as relationship milestones." Maya scrolled through the floating text, her eyes widening with each requirement. The document outlined everything from first dates to meeting family members, from gift-giving protocols to physical affection benchmarks. It read like a scientific manual for romance. "This is incredibly detailed," she said. "How did your professor even know about all these human dating customs?" Alex looked embarrassed, which was another new expression Maya had never seen on their face. The Keplerian Academic Database contains extensive observational data on human behavior. However, Professor Keth believes that observational data and experiential data are fundamentally different types of knowledge. Maya reached the end of the document and found something that made her heart skip a beat. Her name was listed under Proposed Primary Research Subject, along with what appeared to be a detailed personality profile and compatibility analysis. "Alex," she said, her voice coming out higher than intended. "Why is my name in here?" Alex shifted uncomfortably. "May have mentioned you in my preliminary reports as an excellent example of typical human social behavior and cultural knowledge. Professor Keth was impressed by your educational background and determined that you would be an ideal research partner." "Research partner," Maya repeated, "or research subject." "The distinction is somewhat unclear in the original Keplerian," Alex admitted, "but essentially yes. Professor Keth believes that conducting this research with you would provide the most authentic and educationally valuable experience. Maya stared at the floating document, trying to process what she was reading. According to the analysis, she and Alex were supposedly highly compatible based on personality markers, communication styles, and what the document clinically referred to as proximity comfort levels. "You've been analyzing me this whole time," she said, not sure if she felt flattered or invaded. "Not intentionally," Alex said quickly. "I mean, observation is natural for my people. We notice patterns and behaviors automatically. But I never intended for you to become part of my official research." Maya stood up and walked to the window, needing some space to think. The whole situation was bizarre, even by the standards of living with an alien. "What happens if you don't do this research?" Alex's silence stretched long enough that Maya turned around to look at them. Their expression had grown serious, almost sad. "Academic failure for a Keplerian researcher results in exile from our society," Alex said quietly. "I would not be permitted to return home or maintain contact with my people. Essentially, I would become a permanent refugee." The weight of that statement hit Maya hard. Alex wasn't just facing a bad grade or academic disappointment. They were facing complete isolation from their entire civilization. "But surely there are other humans you could ask," Maya said. "People who might be more interested in this kind of research project." Alex shook their head. "The research requires someone who already knows my true identity and is comfortable with my presence. It also requires someone with cultural knowledge who can provide context and explanation during the process. There is no one else who meets these criteria." Maya looked back at the floating document at her name listed as the optimal research candidate. The clinical language couldn't hide what Alex was really asking her to do. "You want me to fake date you?" she said bluntly. "I want to ask if you would consider helping me understand human romantic relationships through practical application," Alex corrected carefully. "It would be mutually beneficial. You could gain unique insights into human behavior from an anthropological perspective, which could advance your own career. And I could complete my research and maintain my academic standing." Maya turned back to the window, watching people walk by on the street below. Normal people with normal roommates and normal problems. She thought about her job at the museum, cataloging artifacts and giving tours to school children. It was fine work, but not exactly the adventurous career she'd dreamed of in college. "This is crazy," she said finally. "I understand if you prefer not to participate," Alex said, and Maya could hear the disappointment in their voice. "I will find another solution." Maya turned around to find Alex looking dejected, their shoulders slumped in a very human gesture of defeat. In 3 weeks, they had become more than just a roommate. They were her friend, her research partner, and probably the most interesting person she'd ever met. The thought of them being exiled, cut off from their home and family forever, made her chest ache. "I didn't say no," she said slowly. "I said it was crazy. But then again, my whole life has been pretty crazy since you moved in." Alex looked up hopefully. "You would consider it." Maya walked back over and sat down, studying the floating document one more time. The research timeline showed a 3-month study period with regular progress reports too. Professor Keth. 3 months of pretending to date her alien roommate to save their academic career and prevent their exile. "If we did this," she said carefully, "what exactly would be involved?" Alex manipulated the document to show a detailed timeline. Phase 1 involves initial courtship behaviors, public social interaction, gift exchange, and what humans call getting to know each other activities. Phase 2 progresses to more intimate social bonding, meeting each other's social circles, and demonstration of emotional attachment. Phase 3. "Okay, let's start with Phase 1, Maya interrupted, not ready to think about Phase 3 yet. "This is all supposed to look authentic, right? Like a real relationship?" "The research requires genuine behavioral observation," Alex confirmed. "Professor Keth will be monitoring progress through regular reports and may conduct surprise evaluations." Maya took a deep breath. She was actually considering this. 3 months of fake dating an alien to help them complete their thesis and avoid exile was absolutely the most ridiculous situation she'd ever found herself in. But looking at Alex, seeing the hope and worry in their silver eyes, She realized she'd already made her decision. Maya spent the next morning creating what she called dating rules for aliens, a list of basic guidelines to help Alex navigate their first fake relationship. She had never imagined she'd be teaching someone from another galaxy how to hold hands or what to talk about on a dinner date, but here she was, writing things like don't mention analyzing human behavior during romantic conversations. Compliments should feel natural, not like scientific observations. Their first practice date was scheduled for Thursday evening at a quiet restaurant downtown. Maya chose the place carefully, somewhere nice enough to feel like a real date, but not so fancy that Alex's inevitable social mistakes would attract too much attention. "Remember," Maya said as they walked to the restaurant, "tonight, you're not an alien researcher studying human behavior. You're Alex, international exchange student, who's interested in getting to know me better." Alex nodded seriously, like they were memorizing important data. "I should ask questions about your interests and experiences, not about cultural patterns or social structures." Exactly. Think of it as getting to know Maya the person, not Maya the human specimen. The restaurant was dimly lit with soft music playing in the background. Maya had eaten there before, but tonight felt completely different. Alex held the door open for her, which was a good start, though they did it with the same formal precision they applied to everything else. "Good evening, Alex," said to the hostess. "We have a reservation under the name Alex." The hostess smiled and led them to a corner table. Maya noticed how Alex's eyes darted around the room, taking in every detail. Old habits died hard, apparently. So Maya said once they were seated, "Tell me about yourself, Alex. What do you like to do in your free time?" Alex opened their mouth, then closed it, clearly struggling with how to answer without mentioning intergalactic travel or advanced technology. "I enjoy ... reading," they said finally.
Ow.
"And I find human music quite fascinating.
Ow.
The way you use sound patterns to convey emotion is remarkable." Maya kicked Alex gently under the table. "That's getting a little too analytical," she whispered. "Sorry." Alex took a breath and tried again. "I like music. It's really interesting how different songs can make you feel different emotions." "Better," Maya said with an encouraging smile. "What kind of music do you like?" "I have been listening to what you call classical music, but also some of the popular songs from your radio. The variety is quite impressive." Alex paused, catching themselves. "I mean, I really enjoy the variety. There's something for every mood." Maya found herself genuinely smiling. Despite the awkward translation from research mode to date mode, there was something endearing about Alex's earnest attempts to sound casual. Their conversation flowed more naturally as the evening progressed. Alex asked about Maya's job at the museum, and she found herself talking about her dreams of doing real field work, maybe discovering something important about human culture and history. Alex listened with genuine interest, asking follow-up questions that showed they were really paying attention. "You know," Maya said over dessert, "you're actually not bad at this dating thing." Alex looked pleased. "I'm finding it more enjoyable than I anticipated. Human social interaction is much more pleasant when it is not being analyzed for research purposes. Just remember not to say things like that when other people are around." Maya reminded them with a laugh. Their practice date was interrupted when Maya's coworker Jenny appeared at their table with a huge grin on her face. "Maya, I didn't know you were seeing someone," Jenny said, not waiting for an invitation to join the conversation. "You must be Alex. Maya's mentioned you a few times." Maya's heart jumped. She had mentioned Alex at work, but only as her mysterious roommate who kept odd hours. Now she had to sell the idea that they were actually dating. "It's nice to meet you, Jenny," Alex said smoothly, reaching over to take Maya's hand. The gesture looked natural, but Maya felt a little electric shock at the contact. "Maya has told me wonderful things about her work at the museum." "Oh, how sweet," Jenny gushed. "How long have you two been together?" Maya opened her mouth, but Alex answered first. "We have been getting to know each other for about a month now. Maya's helping me understand American culture better." It was technically true, Maya realized. Alex was getting good at this, truth-bending. "Thing that's so romantic," Jenny said. "International relationships are so exciting. Where are you from, Alex?" "Very far away," Alex said with a mysterious smile. "A place most people have never heard of." Jenny looked intrigued, but their waiter appeared with the check before she could ask more questions. After she left, Maya stared at Alex in amazement. "That was actually really smooth," she said. "The hand-holding, the mysterious background story. You're a natural at this." Alex looked down at their joined hands, seeming surprised they were still holding them. "Felt ... appropriate," they said quietly. "More natural than I expected." Maya felt her cheeks warm. There was something in Alex's tone that made her stomach flutter, but she pushed the feeling away. This was all pretend, she reminded herself. Alex was just getting good at acting. Over the next 2 weeks, their fake relationship became surprisingly easy to maintain. Alex brought Maya flowers, exotic blooms that didn't exist on Earth, but looked close enough to normal that people just assumed they were expensive imports. They had lunch together at Maya's museum, where Alex impressed her colleagues with their extensive knowledge of ancient cultures. Maya's friends were charmed by Alex's formal politeness and obvious intelligence. They thought it was sweet how Alex listened so carefully to everything Maya said and asked thoughtful questions about her interests and opinions. "Your boyfriend is really different," Maya's friend Leela said one day when they were having coffee. "He's so ... attentive. Like he really pays attention to what you're saying." "Yeah," Maya agreed, stirring her coffee thoughtfully. "Alex is definitely a good listener, and he's gorgeous," Lila added with a grin. "Those eyes are incredible. Where did you find him?" "He just sort of appeared in my life when I needed him most." The problem was, Maya was starting to realize that her feelings weren't entirely fake anymore. When Alex brought her flowers, she felt genuinely happy. When they held hands in public, she didn't want to let go. When Alex asked about her day and listened to her answer with complete focus, she felt more valued and understood than she had in any real relationship. But the most confusing part was that Alex seemed to be changing too. Their formal, analytical way of speaking was softening into something more natural and warm. They laughed at Maya's jokes, not because they were studying human humor, but because they genuinely found her funny. They remembered little details about her preferences and surprised her with things she liked. One evening, Maya came home from work to find Alex in the kitchen, attempting to cook dinner. The results were ... creative. "Wanted to surprise you," Alex said, looking slightly embarrassed. "I researched traditional human courtship behaviors, and cooking for one's romantic partner appeared frequently in the data." Maya looked at the colorful but unidentifiable dish Alex had prepared. "What is it?" "I believe your species would call it fusion cuisine," Alex said hopefully. "I combined elements from several different cultural traditions." Maya took a bite and was surprised to find it actually tasted good, despite looking like nothing she'd ever seen before. "It's delicious," she said honestly. "Thank you for cooking for me." Alex beamed with pride. "I'm pleased that you enjoy it. I wanted to do something special for you." "Why?" Maya asked, the question slipping out before she could stop it. Alex paused, looking confused by their own actions. I am not entirely certain. It simply felt like the right thing to do." Maya felt that flutter in her stomach again, stronger. This time, Alex was developing feelings, she realized. Real feelings that had nothing to do with research or academic requirements. The realization should have been exciting, but instead it made Maya nervous. What happened when Alex's research was complete? When they finished their thesis and returned to their home planet? What happened to feelings that were supposed to be fake, but were becoming increasingly real? She was still thinking about these questions when Alex's tablet chimed with an incoming message. Alex checked it, and their expression immediately grew. "Serious?" "What is it?" Maya asked. "A message from Professor Keth," Alex said, their voice tight with worry. "They want to conduct a progress evaluation. They're coming to Earth." Maya felt her heart sink. "When?" "Next week." Alex looked at her with wide, anxious eyes. "Maya, if Professor Keth discovers that our relationship is not authentic, my research will be invalidated. I will fail my thesis and face exile." Maya reached over and took Alex's hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "Then we'll just have to make sure they believe it's real." But as she said the words, Maya realized the truth that had been growing in her heart for weeks. For her, it wasn't fake anymore. She was falling in love with her alien roommate, and she had no idea what to do about it. "Don't worry," she said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. We've gotten pretty good at this fake dating thing. How hard can it be to fool one alien professor? Alex smiled gratefully, but Maya could see the worry in their silver eyes. Neither of them knew what professor. Maya spent the weekend in a state of nervous energy, cleaning the apartment and rehearsing answers to questions Professor Keth might ask. Alex, meanwhile, seemed to be running through every possible scenario in their head, occasionally muttering, in what Maya assumed was their native language. "What if Professor Keth asks about our first kiss?" Maya asked on Sunday evening, pacing around the living room. "We haven't actually. We should probably figure out our story for things like that." Alex looked up from their tablet where they'd been reviewing human relationship milestones. "According to my research, first kisses typically occur within the first few dates of human romantic relationships." "Okay, but when did ours supposedly happen?" Maya pressed. "We need details that match up if we're questioned separately." Spent the next hour creating a detailed timeline of their fake relationship, including their supposed first kiss after their third practice date and other romantic taming. Milestones that Alex's research indicated were important. It felt strange, Maya thought, to be inventing memories of romantic moments with someone she was actually starting to have feelings for. Monday morning brought an unexpected complication. Maya was at work when her phone rang, and she was surprised to see her ex-boyfriend Ryan's name on the screen. He'd dated for almost a year before breaking up 6 months ago, and he'd been trying to get back together ever since. "Hey, Maya," Ryan said when she answered. "I was wondering if you wanted to grab dinner tonight. I know I said I'd give you space, but I really miss what we had." Maya glanced around the museum's break room, making sure no one was listening. "Ryan, I told you I needed time to figure things out. I know, but it's been months. And I heard from Danny that you're seeing someone new? Some foreign guy?" Maya's heart jumped. How did news travel so fast in this city? Or did Danny hear that? "His girlfriend saw you at that Italian place downtown a couple weeks ago." "Look, I'm not trying to cause problems, but I thought maybe this new guy was just a rebound thing." "We had something real, Maya. Don't throw it away for some guy you barely know." "Ryan, it's not like that," Maya said, feeling defensive even though her relationship with Alex was technically fake. "And Alex isn't just some rebound. We have a real connection." The words came out with more conviction than Maya expected. Realized she meant them, which made her stomach flip. Ryan said, his tone getting sharper. "But when this guy disappoints you, don't expect me to still be waiting around?" After Ryan hung up, Maya sat in the break room feeling shaky. She'd dated Ryan for almost a year, and breaking up with him had been hard. But talking to him now, after weeks of spending time with Alex, made her realize how different things felt with her alien roommate. Alex listened when she talked, asked thoughtful questions, and seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts and dreams. Ryan had always been more focused on his own plans and ambitions. Maya was still thinking about the phone call when she got home that evening. Alex was in the kitchen, attempting to make tea, using a combination of earths, herbs, and what looked like glowing purple leaves from their home planet. "How was your day?" Alex asked, looking up with a warm smile that made Maya's heart skip. "Complicated," Maya said, sitting down at the small table. "My ex-boyfriend called. He wants to get back together." Alex's smile faded, and something flickered in their silver eyes that looked almost like jealousy. "What did you tell him?" "I told him I was happy with you," Maya said, then quickly added, I told him about our relationship. Our fake relationship for the research." "Of course," Alex said quietly, turning back to their tea preparation. "The research." Maya watched Alex's shoulders tense and realized they were bothered by the mention of Ryan. The thought sent a warm flutter through her chest. Maybe Alex's feelings were becoming as real as hers were. "Alex," she said carefully, "how are you feeling about all this? The fake dating, I mean. Is it helping with your research?" Alex was quiet for a long moment, focusing intently on their tea. "The research has been educational," they said finally. "But I find myself experiencing responses that are not entirely scientific in nature." "What kind of responses?" Alex turned to face her, their expression serious. "When you mentioned your former romantic partner, I experienced what I believe humans call jealousy. The thought of you resuming a relationship with him created an unpleasant, emotional reaction that had nothing to do with research objectives. Maya's heart started beating faster. What do you think that means? I think Alex said slowly, that I am developing genuine attachment to you that extends beyond academic requirements, which is problematic for several reasons. Why problematic? Alex sat down across from her, their silver eyes reflecting something Maya couldn't quite read. Because my people do not experience romantic attachment in the way humans do, because I will eventually return to my home planet. And because you deserve a relationship with someone who can offer you a normal life, not an alien researcher who may not even understand what these feelings mean. Maya reached across the table and took Alex's hand. What if I don't want normal? Before Alex could answer, their tablet chimed with an urgent message. Alex read it quickly, their expression growing worried. Professor Keth has arrived on Earth earlier than expected, Alex said. They want to meet with us tomorrow evening to begin the evaluation. Maya felt her stomach drop. They'd been preparing for this, but suddenly it felt too soon. What exactly will this evaluation involve? Alex scrolled through the message. Professor Keth will observe our interactions, interview us separately about our relationship, and conduct what they call authenticity assessments using Keplerian technology that can detect emotional states and stress patterns. They can tell if we're lying. They can detect physiological responses that indicate deception or performance rather than genuine emotion, Alex explained. Maya, if we cannot convince Professor Keth that our relationship is authentic, my thesis will fail and I will face exile. The weight of the situation settled over Maya. It wasn't just about helping Alex pass their research anymore. Alex would lose everything, their home, their family, their entire civilization. Maya would lose Alex forever. Then we need to make sure they believe it's real, Maya said, with determination she didn't entirely feel. Alex looked at her gratefully. I know this is asking a great deal of you. Pretending to have feelings you do not possess, performing intimacy. That is not genuine. Maya almost laughed at the irony. If only Alex knew that her feelings had become completely genuine weeks ago. The hardest part wouldn't be pretending to love Alex. It would be hiding how much she actually did. Don't worry about me, she said. Let's focus on what we need to do to pass this evaluation. What will Professor Keth expect to see? Alex pulled up the evaluation criteria on their tablet. Demonstrated emotional attachment, natural physical affection, synchronized behavioral patterns, and evidence of future planning together. Future planning. Professor Keth will expect us to have discussed our long-term relationship goals, where we see ourselves in a year, plans for me meeting your family, discussions about commitment. Maya's heart sank. How could they fake conversations about a future together when the real future was so uncertain? When Alex would eventually have to leave Earth, regardless of how either of them felt? We'll figure it out, she said, trying to sound confident. We've gotten this far, right? Alex nodded, but Maya could see the worry in their eyes. Neither of them mentioned the obvious problem that for the evaluation to be truly convincing, they would have to act like they were in love. And for Maya, that wouldn't be acting at all. That night, Maya lay awake thinking about everything that had led to this moment. 3 months ago, her biggest worry had been making rent. Now, she was preparing to convince an alien professor that she was in a real relationship with their student, while trying to ignore the fact that her own feelings had become terrifyingly real. She thought about Ryan's phone call. It's about his assumption that Alex was just a rebound. If only he knew the truth that in just a few weeks, Alex had made her feel more understood and valued than Ryan had in an entire year. But what happened after the evaluation? If they succeeded and Alex passed their thesis, would things go back to normal? Would Alex return to being just her roommate, their fake relationship forgotten? Or would Alex eventually return to their home planet, leaving Maya with a broken heart and memories of a love that was supposed to be pretend? Maya turned over in bed, trying to quiet her racing thoughts. Now, tomorrow night, she would have to convince Professor Keth that she was madly in love with Alex. The terrifying part was that it wouldn't require any acting at all. In the living room, she could hear Alex moving around, probably too nervous to sleep as well. Maya wondered if they were thinking about the same things she was. They were struggling with the same confusion about where their fake relationship ended and their real feelings began. One more day, Maya thought. Then they would find out if their performance was convincing enough to save Alex's future, and if their fake relationship could survive becoming real. Maya spent Tuesday at work unable to concentrate on anything. Every time someone asked her about her evening plans, she had to resist the urge to say, "Oh, just trying to convince an alien professor that I'm in love with their student to prevent intergalactic exile." Instead, she smiled and said she had dinner plans with Alex. When she got home, she found Alex pacing the living room in full nervous mode. They'd changed clothes 3 times and were currently wearing their most formal human outfit, dark pants, and a button-down shirt that made their silver eyes even more striking. "Maya," Alex said as soon as she walked in, "I have been reconsidering this entire situation. Perhaps there is another way to satisfy Professor Keth's requirements without involving you further." "Alex, we've been through this," Maya said, setting down her bag. "It's too late to change the plan now. Besides, I want to help you. But what if Professor Keth's technology detects that your feelings are not genuine? What if they realize you are performing rather than experiencing authentic emotion?" Maya felt her cheeks warm. If only Alex knew that her feelings were probably the most genuine part of this entire situation. "Let me worry about that. How about you? You ready for?" This Alex stopped pacing and looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "I am concerned that my own emotional responses may compromise the evaluation." "What do you mean?" "My feelings for you have become complicated," Alex said carefully. "What began as academic curiosity has developed into something I do not fully understand. I worry that Professor Keth will detect this confusion and question the validity of my research." Maya's heart jumped. "Your feelings have become complicated." Before Alex could answer, the air in the center of their living room began to shimmer. Maya watched in amazement as a figure materialized out of thin air, like something from a science fiction movie. Professor Keth was taller than Alex, with the same silver eyes, but longer, more angular features. They wore flowing robes that seemed to shift color in the light. "Student Alex," Professor Keth said in a voice that sounded like wind chimes, "I trust you are prepared for evaluation." Alex immediately straightened into perfect posture. "Yes, Professor. This is Maya, my research partner." Professor Keth's piercing gaze fixed on Maya, and she felt like they were looking directly into her soul. The human subject. Fascinating. "I look forward to studying your responses." Maya forced herself to smile. "It's nice to meet you, Professor, indeed." Professor Keth waved their hand, and several strange devices materialized in the air around them. "We shall begin with behavioral observation. Please interact naturally while I calibrate my instruments." Maya looked at Alex, who appeared frozen with nervousness. She walked over and took their hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "Hey," she said softly. "Relax. It's just me." Alex's shoulders loosened slightly. "How was your day at work?" "Long," Maya said, letting herself lean against Alex's side. "I kept thinking about tonight, about you. It was the truth, which made it easier to sound natural." Alex's arm came around her waist, and Maya felt that familiar flutter in her stomach. Professor Keth moved around them with their floating instruments, making notes on what looked like a holographic tablet. "Interesting, Student Alex. Your stress responses are decreasing in the subject's presence. This suggests genuine comfort rather than performance anxiety." Alex and Maya exchanged a quick glance. Maybe this would be easier than they thought. "Hey now," Professor Keth announced, "I will interview you separately. Student Alex, you will remain here. Subject Maya, please accompany me." Maya followed Professor Keth to the kitchen, her heart pounding. One of their floating devices hovered near her head, presumably monitoring her responses. "Tell me about your relationship with Student Alex," Professor Keth said. Their silver eyes fixed intently on Maya's face. Maya took a breath, deciding to stick as close to the truth as possible. "Alex is unlike anyone I've ever met. They listen to me in a way that makes me feel really heard and understood. They're curious about everything, which makes even ordinary conversations feel interesting. And your romantic feelings?" Maya felt, her cheeks warm. I didn't expect to fall for them, she said honestly. It started as friendship, but spending time with Alex made me realize how superficial my previous relationships had been. Alex pays attention to the little things that matter to me. Professor Keth made a note. You believe your feelings are genuine? I know they are, Maya said, surprised by the conviction in her own voice. After a few more questions, Professor Keth sent Maya back to the living room and interviewed Alex privately. Maya tried not to pace while she waited, wondering what Alex was telling them. When they returned, Professor Keth announced the next phase of evaluation. I require demonstration of physical affection consistent with established human pair bonding. Felt her stomach flip. What kind of demonstration? Simple displays of intimacy. Hand-holding, embracing, and kissing behaviors that would be natural for humans in your relationship stage. Alex looked as nervous as Maya felt. They'd practiced holding hands and casual touches, but they'd never actually kissed. Maya had wondered about it during their fake dates, but it had never seemed necessary for their performance. Okay, Maya, said, trying to sound casual. That's fine, she turned to face Alex, whose silver eyes were wide with uncertainty. Maya reached up and cupped their face with her hands the way she'd seen in countless movies. Just follow my lead, she whispered. When their lips met, Maya felt like an electric current ran through her entire body. Alex was hesitant at first, but then their arms came around her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss was soft and sweet and made Maya's head spin in a way that had nothing to do with performance or research. When they broke apart, Maya could see something new in Alex's expression. Wonder, maybe, or surprise. She realized her own feelings must be written all over her face. Fascinating, Professor Keth murmured, studying their instruments. Both subjects show elevated heart rate, dilated pupils, and increased skin conductivity. Yes. These responses are consistent with genuine attraction rather than performed behavior. Maya felt her cheeks burn. Apparently, Keplerian technology was very good at detecting when people were actually attracted to each other. The evaluation continued for another hour, Professor Keth asking them to demonstrate various couple behaviors and answer questions about their future plans. Maya found herself describing a life with Alex that felt surprisingly real. Weekend trips, meeting each other's friends and family, maybe even moving to a bigger apartment together. Finally, Professor Keth announced they had sufficient data. Alex and Maya sat on the couch, hands clasped tightly together, waiting for the verdict. Student Alex, Professor Keth said formally, your research demonstrates a comprehensive understanding of human pair bonding behaviors. However, I have detected significant emotional investment that compromises your scientific objectivity. Maya felt her heart sink. Alex was going to fail because they developed real feelings. However, Professor Keth continued, this emotional development represents a breakthrough in interspecies relationship research. Your thesis will be approved with the recommendation that you continue this study as a long-term project. Looked stunned. Continue the study? The data you have collected on cross-species emotional compatibility is unprecedented. The Keplerian Academic Council will fund extended research, allowing you to remain on Earth indefinitely if you choose. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. Alex could stay. They could stay together if they wanted to. Professor Keth gathered their instruments. I will return to submit my report, student Alex. You should know that your emotional evolution during this research has provided valuable insights into the universal nature of connection and attachment. After Professor Keth vanished as suddenly as they'd appeared, Maya and Alex sat in stunned silence. I can stay, Alex said quietly, as if testing the words. If you want to, Maya said, suddenly nervous. I mean, if you want to continue the research. Or if you want to go home, I understand. Alex turned to face her fully. Maya, my feelings for you are not research. They are not part of any academic study. When I kiss you, when I hold your hand, when I listen to you talk about your dreams. None of that is performance. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. For me either, she admitted. I haven't been pretending for weeks now. Maybe I never was. Alex reached up and touched her face gently. So what happens now? Maya smiled, leaning into their touch. Now, we figure out what a real relationship looks like. No research objectives, no academic pressure. It's just us. I would like that very much, Alex said and kissed her again. This time Maya knew it was completely real. No professors watching, no evaluation criteria to meet. Just two people from different worlds who had found something unexpected and wonderful together. Later that evening, as they cleaned up from the most unusual dinner party either of them had ever hosted, Alex asked, "Do you think you would like to meet my family someday? They live quite far away, but travel arrangements could be made." Maya laughed, thinking about how her life had changed since the day Alex knocked on her door with a metallic suitcase and 6 months' rent in cash. "I'd love to meet your family, though I should probably warn you, mine are going to ask a lot of questions about where you're from."